So I'm filming in the Bahamas. It's amazing, it's beautiful. And my camera and lens fall into the sea. No. That's right, we're talking about insurance. Welcome back. Thanks everyone for watching. I know it's been a while since I posted my last video, but I have to tell you, it has been crazy busy, which is an awesome thing. It means that I'm doing stuff and I'm creating things. They're not out yet. I actually have 3 very large documentary projects on the go right now, plus a couple of other projects. So I have not been able to stay active on YouTube. So I apologize for that. But I've got a lot of stuff that I need to record and talk about. And today we are talking about insurance. How important is it? Do you really need it? What does it actually cover? Make sure you watch to the end and find out what I did. So just to back up a little bit, was this clickbait? No, this actually happened to me. I'm in the Bahamas filming a project for my RecWatch TV channel. If you have not seen it, if you're interested in diving, underwater shipwrecks, shipwreck stories, mysteries, treasure, all that kind of stuff, make sure you go over to RecWatch TV right here on YouTube and check it out. And you can even see soon the project that we're filming when this horrible, horrific incident actually happened to me. What were we doing? We were filming our very first RecWatch expedition where we have permission from the Bahamian government to dive and look for pirate archaeology underwater in Nassau and in Nassau Harbor, which is amazing. And I'm not gonna give it away yet, but you're gonna have to watch. Check out RecWatch TV, and probably in later May, you'll start to see some of the some clips and maybe even the full story of what we did and what we discovered diving in the Bahamas. But that leads me to what we're here for today. We're filming some amazing stuff. And of course we have to do interviews. We're filming around the water. And so that's always a little bit risky. But on the day that we're not actually out on the water, we're on land, actually on a dock by the water. And I'm filming a 3-camera interview with a very nice local man. And I've got my medium shot, I've got my profile shot, and I've got my A7R5 and my Sony 16 to 35mm G Master lens locked off on a tripod on the dock, getting the wide shot, when suddenly a gust of wind blows, and when you know, a chair from up top comes tumbling down and hits the dock. Anyways, long story short, bam, the camera, tripod, lens all go right into the sea. We got it out as quickly as we can, and yes, I have recovered them. They are here. However, they're dead. They're now paperweights. I can't tell you the sickening feeling that I had when we pulled these out and you're pouring water out of your camera and of your lens. I did take them to Henry's here in Canada to see if there's a possibility of repair, and they said no, it's beyond repair, and I had to replace them.
Dang it!
So that brings us to insurance. Did I have insurance? Well, yes, I did, but there's a catch. Insurance is a very important part of any business, and you as a content creator, as a videographer, as a cinematographer, as a service provider, you have very expensive equipment. And not only that, you are most likely traveling out of your home and going around to your clients' locations, or traveling possibly around the world like I do to cover stories and interview and document different situations and people, all kinds of things. So something that I discovered a few years ago is that while I'm paying insurance, and I pay a lot for my insurance, it only covers me in North America. Like, okay, well, that's fine if you're only working in North America. And what does it actually cover? Well, it covers your liability. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you are doing an interview in someone's home, or you're at someone's business and you knock something over, you break a window, you fly a drone through something, which drone insurance, that could be a whole separate thing, and we can talk about that in another video. Or you've hired an assistant, a camera assist, and they trip and fall and break their leg. Your liability insurance is going to cover all of that stuff, and it's very important. Liability insurance is something that you definitely need to be considering if you're going around and going to other people's properties and you're bringing other people into your productions. But then there's the gear side of it. how much money do you really need to spend on your equipment insurance? That's something that I have really been exploring and looking at while going through this incident. You know, typically when I travel, I've got 3, maybe 4 cameras, a bunch of very expensive lenses. It kind of boggles my mind when I realize I'm loading all of these things into a vehicle or onto a plane, and you know, you've got 30, maybe 40, sometimes $50,000 worth of equipment that you're taking on a shoot. You've got your drones, your lenses, your microphones, your camera bodies, your media. How much does media cost these days? Right now you have to back that up. What are you backing it up onto? You're backing up onto hard drives or SSDs. SSDs are not cheap. You've got your computer. You know, it easily adds up to $30,000 to $50,000 that you are traveling with, you know, in small, hopefully secure cases that can't always be in your sight. And you're bringing assistants along to help, but maybe they don't really know how to use this stuff. Maybe you've got a klutz on your team and they drop some expensive equipment and break it. Insurance is supposed to cover all of that. What I discovered is that my insurance, while it does cover my equipment and does cover my liability, within North America, there's a $1,000 deductible. Okay, $1,000 deductible. That's not too bad, especially when you're bringing that much equipment along. But what happens when you're traveling outside of your covered area? So for me, traveling outside of North America, when I travel to the Middle East or travel to the Bahamas, that's no longer North America, and I'm not covered. So you have to buy an extension. And what does an extension cost for your insurance to travel outside of your typical area of operation? Well, it depends. It depends on where you're going, what you're doing, but typically for me, adding that extension on, really it can be anywhere from say $400 to $1,500, maybe even $2,000 for that extension to cover your equipment and your liability outside of your typical operating zone. But what I discovered on this job in the Bahamas, and you know, let's just think about this for a second. The Bahamas, isn't that North America? Well, apparently it is not. The Bahamas, while very close to North America, is just offshore from Florida. It's a short boat ride or plane ride from Florida, which is North America. If this had happened to me in North America, $1,000 deductible, okay, you know, I think I can eat that. However, because it was not in North America, and with the extension that I bought to cover me while working down there, I discovered that it's actually a $5,000 deductible. And you think, wow, $5,000? Well, if you lost all of your equipment, okay, still $5,000 is a big chunk to lose out on your replacement value of all of your equipment. But what happens when it's just 2 pieces? It's your Sony a7R5 and your 16 to 35 millimeter G Master. Well, here in Canada, this camera body is around $5,000 and this lens is around $3,000. So that's $8,000 with a $5,000 deductible. And then insurance likes to let you know that, oh yeah, by the way, you bought those a number of years ago and we're depreciating it, even though you've got replacement value on this. So the shock of coming home and having to deal with my insurance company and then find out that they're not going to give me the full replacement value of these equipment, which, you know, roughly $8,000, actually a bit more than $8,000. And what did I get back? I got just over $2,000 towards a replacement of these 2 pieces. That is a real kick in the gut, especially when you consider that this project that we're filming in the Bahamas was for Rec Watch, meaning that I'm not getting paid for this. This is our own project, and actually we were spending a lot of money just to be down there. So that got me thinking, is insurance worth it? Well, I can't answer that for you. You have to look at your own circumstance, your own situation. But here's the process that I went through. I started to think, what if I self-insured? And what does that mean? What if, 15 years ago when I started paying for equipment insurance, instead of paying the insurance company and not using any of it until now, what if I'd been taking that $4,000 or $5,000 a year and sticking that in a bank, disciplining myself so that instead of giving it to them, I stick it into a savings account, let that interest build, and every year put that money in the bank so that when an incident happens like this, I don't have to worry about deductibles. I don't have to worry about going to an insurance company. bam, I've got that money in the bank and I can just pull it out and I can replace the equipment. And yeah, this sucks, but I had that money. But as I got exploring that and talking with my insurance company and talking with a few other people, I discovered, well, there's the liability side of it. You know, liability is important. Actually, some jobs require you to have liability insurance. And if you're bringing other people into your work, if you're hiring a freelancer or an assistant or something like that, it's probably smart to have some form of liability coverage just in case something goes wrong. So when I got discussing it with my insurance company and I got looking at my policy and thinking like, well, maybe I can just pay for the liability for the year, but I'm gonna keep that money that I would normally spend on the equipment part of it and put that in the bank account, and I'm gonna start self-insuring, and hopefully I don't have another incident for another 15 years and I'll have saved up enough money to cover whatever happens. It's risky, that is definitely a risk. But as I got looking at it and as I got going through my insurance policy and going through the costs and stuff, I discovered that, wow, that $4,000 to $5,000 I spend every year on insurance, the majority of it actually is for liability, not for the equipment. In fact, of that $4,000 to $5,000 a year, only roughly $600 covers the equipment. The rest is liability. So even if I had been buying liability and saving the equipment portion of that insurance and trying to save it up, I still wouldn't have been very close at all. So what did I do? I decided, you know, this far into it, I probably should just keep buying the insurance, paying for the full, you know, amount covering both liability and equipment, and you know, paying for the extensions. I'm looking at the next extension I get for when I travel outside of North America to see if I can lower that $5,000 deductible. However, I do know that that's going to increase the cost of the extension, which really makes it difficult. And this is something that I'm always trying to explain to my clients, especially new clients, and get them to understand that, okay, not only are you paying for the cost of the equipment and paying for the cost of my experience and my time, but I also have business expenses. This is a real legit business. You are a real legit business. You have expenses. And, you know, insurance is a big, big part of that. I'd love to hear what you guys have experienced. Have you experienced you know, some equipment loss or a liability claim? What do you pay for your coverage? Am I paying way too much? To be honest with you, I have shopped around and I have been trying to find a cheaper, better deal. And so far I've been out of luck. I've not been able to find anybody that gives the coverage at a cheaper price. If you have ideas, please put them in the comments below. Please share your stories below. I'd love to hear from you. So at the end of the day, I paid the almost $5,000 for this year's coverage, covering liability, covering equipment. I haven't bought the extensions yet, but I am going to have to start filming outside of North America again soon, which means I could be spending another $500 to $2,000 or more to cover me outside of North America, which if we did that, then this year alone, I'd be spending $7,000 to $8,000 just on insurance coverage. Is that crazy? What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. There are more videos coming. We'll see you next time.